Hello everybody, I'm Roadblock. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. We are back on the Ninja account. Um, it's early morning. I just wanted to test out some keys. By and boy, did we just make a big leap forward on the account. Um, so as you all know, Klodd Beastfeeder, I had been working to get him 6-starred. We achieved that goal, as you can see here. And I even forgot to put an HP amulet on him. So let's go ahead and equip him with one of those and make him even stronger. But boy, did he make a difference. Um, because if we go into clan bosses and we go to Demon Lord, Nightmare Clan Boss, I need 39.17 million to get the max chest on 2 keys. I'm blocking it right now. On 2 keys, y'all, I did 33 million. Now, I'll show you here. This is the screenshot I took. There we go. So you'll see 19.2 million was my best key. Let's calm down a little bit because I'm telling myself to calm down. I don't want to get overly excited. This is Spirit Affinity. I don't know how well you guys can see the little lightning bolt behind the D there, but I can show you right here. Spirit Affinity. My team is entirely magic. This is a very good affinity for me. So this may not be like, a regular thing. However, I am clearly on track this particular day for a 3 key on Nightmare. One can only imagine, or I mean, I feel like I'm safe in saying that I will likely be able to 4 key, but Force Affinity may be a completely different beast and may really slow me down, and I may only get 9 million a key. I'm looking for 10 million a key. My first key, I want to say, was 13 million, and then I got really lucky on the second key and I got 18 million. But let's talk about why all of a sudden this happened. What is the big boost to my account? Is it really Klodd? And yeah, it is. I mean, if you take a look, now unfortunately I don't have any other screenshots, right? Like I don't have a lot to go off of on the previous runs, but Ninja's doing 9 million, Kale's doing 4, Klodd did 1 million, right? Venomage did 3 million, but the thing that Klodd is doing, increased speed, and the shields, is giving everybody more turns to do damage. It's as simple as that. And the more turns, the better. Now, I will say that I think again, I've talked about this. Tayrell's aura is really why he makes the cut here. I don't know in my entire roster what other aura I would rather have. I mean, maybe Loki for the accuracy increase or Haikatune for more speed, but Haikatune brings nothing else to the fight because I've already got the increased speed, so I don't need that. Turn meter, sure, but I don't think I need it. So yeah, I mean this aura from Tayrell, 25% defense in all battles. That's a big boost to my defense, and I'm surviving much longer. Now Klodd's shields are only going to be bigger now that I've done the amulet, and obviously I'm a little short of 6-starring him. We talked about that in my last episode, but in case you guys missed that one, because it was really just more informational about the account, if we go to Ascend Klodd, we are very short on the resources to ascend him, right? And we need to farm some of the potion keeps. Now, I want to do that, but we also have some other things to farm right now, so we're kind of in a weird spot. But I mean, if the team is doing this well, if it ain't broke, right? We do have some more books for Klodd when the time comes, because this shield's not even on a 3-turn cooldown. It's on a 4-turn cooldown right now. So we definitely need to get more books into Klodd as well. Boy, what an interesting swing that we've taken. You'll see I've been leveling up some gear just during, that I put on him. So let's briefly kind of go over his build. So I talked about this in another video, but for Masteries, and this is why I think it's very, very important that you learn and understand the Masteries. Now, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. There are a lot of little, what are these, octagons? Yeah, a lot of these little octagons in here, very complicated to memorize all of them, right? It's going to take time. However, the reason I mention this is that the Hell Hades recommended build for him used accuracy. Well, let me just pull it up. So for Klodd, Hell Hades has a standard PvE build, and they rate him at a 3.5. The standard PvE build went with accuracy masteries and sniper. Now, what sniper does increases the chances of placing any debuff from skills or artifacts by 5%. He has only one debuff. Decreased crit rate. Now, this is a sneaky good debuff. You don't hear a lot of people talk about that. It's not an essential debuff, but by reducing the crit rate by 30%, bosses have a default, I want to say 15, but don't quote me on that. All I know is that it's less than 30%. So by decreasing his crit rate, he can never crit because he no longer has any crit rate. So there's not even a slim chance that the clan boss gets a crit. But the reality is you're not really building teams around clan boss crits. And while it is a valuable debuff, it is not going to make or break the run. And I am not going... when you realize that he has a shield that is equal to 20% of his max HP, I would much rather get 810 more health, right? I would much rather increase the value of shield buffs this champion casts by 5%. Then I'd rather get turn meter for 30% chance of increasing turn meter by 10% when a buff cast by this champion is removed or expired. And with the way that I built him, not only are the shields huge, he's still my last guy alive. And he probably outruns his own buffs quite often because he is much faster than anybody else on the account right now. But he stays alive because of his base health. So he's 208 speed. I say much faster. Maybe I might be a little hyperbolic there. No, I mean, everybody else, yeah, 186, yeah. What's Tyrell? 187, yeah, that's right. So, Klodd is my fastest champion at 208 speed right now. I went HP and defense. The defense is a little bit low. I don't necessarily have a lot of great defense gear. You'll see I did use some 6-star defense gloves and then HP percent on the chest, and we get the HP set here. Now, I'm going stats over sets. I just happened to have speed and HP percent, speed and HP percent, right, as the main stat here in this particular case. So having both of those, I'm able to make that set work, but I didn't go out of my way to do that. It just happened to be the case. There wasn't necessarily a better shield that would have given me more value for Klodd per se. He does get a little bit of healing out of this, but we're not counting on that healing. He's just a very beefy boy, a tanky boy. And so he certainly survives through a large portion of the fight with his 2450 defense, which maybe isn't as low as I thought. Now, granted, my Tyrell is only 50, but that's actually very similar defense to my defense-based champion. So I'm not going to complain too much about where his defense is at. It's definitely keeping him alive, and then we get another 25% of that on top of it, right? With the aura of Tyrell. So very happy with Tyrell's aura. Would love if at any point I get a better defensive aura or a defensive aura on perhaps a better champion, I may go ahead and do that. But Tyrell's working out just fine so far. Now, like I said, we can't get too ahead of ourselves here, because it's one day, it's 2 runs, and it's on a very good affinity for me. I mean, I could get 8 million on force. You know, my whole team could just get smoked in the first run. We really don't know what is going to happen, but I am very pleased with my progress. Now, I'm sure the common question that's going to be from many people is, how the hell did you do this so fast? We are only at day 56. We're not even 2 months into the game, and I've already potentially got Nightmare Clan Boss on farm. With potentially even a 3 key. Well, it's all about prioritization. Clan Boss has been my focus, right? I could have prioritized Arena and built Hefrak. I could have prioritized Dungeons and built Armiger or High Katoon. Any of these other options in here, right? We could have changed that up and made that our focus, but instead I focused on Clan Boss, and I think it's super important. Now, I talk about this all the time, but in case you're new here and you're wondering how my free-to-play could 4-key Nightmare or 3-key, I guess I'll say in the title of the video, I'll probably be like, I 3-keyed Ultra or 3-keyed Nightmare in under 60 days on my free-to-play, but something like that. But if you're asking why it's so important, this and this. Huge. Both of those. Very, very big. Very important to my account. Because each, more particularly the legendary books, the sacred shards I can use as resources to complete fusions. We talked in depth about that. You know, a lot of drama, slowed, you know, whatever. But having access to a consistent stream of sacred shards can drastically improve an account. I can go for fusions. I can go for events, right? I can just happen to pull a good champion from a sacred. A lot of things can happen out of a sacred shard. Very important to get those. But the books are probably slightly more important with the way that the meta has shifted in the game. Very, very slightly. Just because I don't have... I would say slightly more important, maybe at this stage in the game, because I have a really, really good legendary, and I've only given him 3 books in the last 2 months. Under 2 months, right? Being able to book Ninja out will really, really help my account. And I am curious. I don't think I'm quite there yet, because he definitely gets low, and so did Kale. But there's a possibility that I could really improve Ninja's build and try to get more damage out of him, just in general. You'll see he's still rocking a 4-star chest. We're still rocking 4-star crit rate gloves. I don't even think he's crit capped right now. Yeah, we're at 88% crit rate. So there are really big improvements to make this team better than what it is right now. But man, am I excited to have pulled off that particular feat. Now, not getting ahead of myself too much, but regardless, today I am going to 3-key Nightmare Clan Boss in under 60 days. So very, very, very I can't stop telling you guys how happy I am. And this is why you really want to think about your epics. I used to say you want to think about your rares too. But the meta has shifted so far. The power creep has gotten so far in the other direction. And getting epics has frankly become so easy. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 epics in 2 months, and several of them are void, right? And I did that. Well, how did I do that? By doing the right things. I waited until 2x. Plain and simple, right? Patience paid off, and here I am reaping the rewards utilizing a great champion like Klodd. But a lot of players, a lot of new players to the game are going to say, well, I have to build my Ninja, I have to build my Halfrack, I have to build my Loki, I have to build my Hermdig, right? They're going to build all these legendaries, and I see it time and time again when I do an account takeover where they just throw in their 5 legendaries, no books, half books, like whatever. Maybe they're even leveled and mastered, but they're not booked, and they would do a fraction of this damage because there's no synergy between them. They just think legendary good, go bang, right? And that's not how the game works. So you really want to consider using your epics in the early game. You know, yes, it's great to have Ninja. And yes, Ninja is a bit of a cheat code when it comes to boss damage, right? I'm not oblivious to the fact that Ninja is really smacking now because of the increased accuracy, but also because he's Ninja, right? He's really, really good at defeating bosses. It's his whole shtick. But if you looked at a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't even 1-key Brutal, and now with one champion, actually not even a couple weeks ago, days ago, yesterday, I had to 3-key Brutal, right? So, I think. So here, one champion with a little bit of increased speed and accuracy, and all of a sudden, I'm doing so much more damage. And that's because this is booked, right? Imagine I had a legendary. Imagine Klodd was a legendary, just for a second. You put him in there, he would have no books. This would still be a 5-turn cooldown. That doesn't help me. I get increased speed. It's for 2 turns. So it would only be up for 2 turns and then be down for another, 2 turns, technically? I mean, yeah. No, books, being able to book out your epics, leveling out your epics, ascending your epics. We already talked about how expensive it is to ascend Klodd right now. It's even worse to ascend a legendary. I mean, that's so much more than what I needed for Klodd. And that's only to 5 stars. I can't even show you the additional amount I would need to get him to 6 stars. I mean, Klodd alone to go to 6-star is 4-2, and he's an epic, so you can expect much higher amounts for Herndig to go to 6-stars, right? So these are all important factors, and I just really wanted to emphasize those things because I see it far too often where people, for example, they pull Loki and they say, or they get their free to play legendary and they're like, hey, I got my free to play legendary, time to 6-star that guy and put them into clan boss. And it's like, well, what does he do for you in clan boss? Is he helping the team? Loki brings increase attack, which is great, but what does he do to get you more turns and to get you more damage? Yes, there's perfect veil, which is great. Yes, he has evade, which is great. And he can spread, like I said, spread perfect veil, but block active skills doesn't do anything. Block buffs doesn't really do anything against him. Increasing enemy debuffs is really good though. Like I'm not saying that Loki is bad in clan boss. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, people will say like, "Oh, I got Loki, time to gear him up, level him up," and they'll 6-star him. They'll put a book into him because that's all they have on their account. We're talking new accounts, right? Get some masteries, and then he adds a couple 100,000, maybe 1 million damage to your team. Where with Klodd, I've almost got him all the way booked where I need him. Almost fully ascended, right? And we're able to just output so much more. And Klodd's also really strong. I think Klodd is a very good champion. I think he's very slept on. And this early game, huge impact, specifically because of that increased accuracy and increased speed. So right now, just to reiterate, Ninja 111 accuracy. You're improving that by 50%. And then, of course, masteries on top of that, which give me additional accuracy based on circumstances, right? So another additional 20 accuracy when there's no skills on cooldown. So, yeah. Really, really love the results. Now, and who knows? Force Affinity, we may be impossible, right? It may be a 5 key, and we're not going to do that. But I really, really wanted to make this video just to show you guys the benefit of using your epics, because I see it far too often where people just push those legendaries. And again, I also want to use this time to reiterate one champion at a time. I got beat up a little bit in the comments when I talked about this. I've talked about this in account takeovers for other players about one champion at a time, but this is the proof of that, right? I didn't worry about anybody else. I said, I want Klodd. He's going to be my next 6-star. I made up my mind. That's who it's going to be. And I went and I built him. And I'm not building anybody else. I did ascend Loki. You could make that argument. But there's no masteries on Loki. The gear on Loki is pretty average. Like, it's just stuff I threw on to make him go fast. Likewise, you'll see Tyrell is still here at 3 stars. I think that unlocks his aura. I'm not 100% sure. But, I've been using Tyrell for a very, very long time in Clan Boss specifically. And everywhere else in the game. I could have 5-starred him a while ago, but I saved my resources to focus on the one champion. And yes, Tyrell is 50. There was a point where Tyrell was going to be my next 6-star, and then I had really, really good pulls from shards, and that changed everything. So it's okay to pivot. But when you do that, when you pivot from a champion, I recommend pivoting all in and saying, okay, I was working on Tyrell. Now I'm going to go over to this guy because he brings more to my team and will receive more. We'll have better success from that, and we have, and I'm very happy with it. Um, as for my next 6-star, I'm very, very much leaning in the way of Hefrak, which sounds crazy, right? Why not improve my clan boss team? Um, and perhaps level up Tyrell some more, right? Get some more turns out of him. That's definitely a possibility, but here's my plan. I am leaning towards Hefrak because I really want to make a stronger arena team that can win more consistently and in a more traditional way. Right now, I'm running double DPS between Ninja and Kale, and I just don't really have consistency in the way that it plays. It loses a lot. It's about, my win rate is probably 60%, if I had to guess. Um, okay, well that's fine. I guess I'm 92%, but I've been very careful about the battles I've been picking. You can see like a lot of battles like here, um, like teams that don't have any speed auras. So I'm not going against any go first teams, and I'm just very careful about the teams that I pick and make sure that there's a logical way for me to beat them. But I do think using a go first team and Hefrak, I will have more wins consistently, and that is the goal. So I would like to make that happen. Um, he's very underpowered right now. Again, only 90% crit damage. That's really not going to make the cut, but we'll see what other potential changes I can make to his kit. But that's where I'm leaning, but I didn't finish the plan. I'm leaning towards Hefrak because I can easily pivot away from this. What's that mean? If I was to say, okay, well, I want to do Rowan to replace Kale in Clan Boss, or if I wanted to do Ursula or Maneater or Mordecai or any of these are 4 stars that I would have to level up to 5 stars, like Tyrell. Well, we're going to pull some shards in a couple days, right? So this coming weekend should be 2 times legendary chance, or sorry, 2 times chances on ancient shards. And we have quite a few ancient shards. So there's a possibility that I pull another really good champion. It could be a legendary, it could be a really good epic, like a good healer, and then or somebody with leech, and I can finally get rid of the lifesteal gear that's really holding me back right now. All this 4-star lifesteal gear is not doing me any favors, right? So I could make a lot of changes with the right champion if I happen to pull one. So if I was to start investing resources this week, and let's say I did Rowan, and I leveled up Rowan to 5 stars and started investing ascension potions and other resources into Rowan. Ascension potions doesn't really make sense because it's a void, but you guys get where I'm going with this. If I was to take the time and invest in this champion and then pull a new legendary that would be way more effective for me in Clan Boss that I would want to work on, that's a harder pivot, right? Because I've already put a lot of resources into this champion. So by saying like, okay, because all only resources I need for Hefrak right now with the way that he is food. So if I just say, okay, well, we're going to wait and see what food we get, or sorry, we're going to wait and see what champions we get. But if I don't get anything good, then my food goes into hef rack. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Instead of, because we're going to have to put a lot of food already to get these 4 stars just up to 5-star. And so it's not a bad thing to pivot off of those. It's just an easier pivot for me to make. It's an easier
Pivot! 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 Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
it's an easier way for me to just say, oh yeah, no, we're just gonna go do this guy now. Sorry for the stretch. I just woke up not that long ago. So, all right. Well, anyways, that's the plan. The video is starting to go a little long here, so I don't want to take too much more time. I just wanted to give a quick announcement about this evening. So tonight, because we do have the targeted champion boost for Teox, I will be pulling at least, and expect more, 11 sacred shards on my main account, going for the double legendary, double dipping with the summon rush, and also completing my Thor fusion tonight. So all of that is happening tonight, live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would highly recommend you come hang out and see that. We're going to have a lot of fun there. And I'm going to end here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new here, if you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I love making content like this. We've got content coming out for Doom Tower pretty soon. Once I get around to recording it, I've got some other content coming out for my free-to-play on my main account. Like, we've got a lot of stuff coming out, so I'm really back on the bandwagon, guys, for those of you that have been here for a while. But if you're new here, please consider subscribing so you can see when those videos come out. I try to be as informative and helpful to new players as I can be, because I feel like there's a lot of content out there, but a lot of it isn't necessarily geared towards the newer players or the 0-day players, right? So, yeah, please consider subscribing. Also, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Do you think that I made the right choice with Klodd? Do you think I would have had better results? Do you disagree with me on focusing on your epics and not your legendaries? What about my thoughts on rares and how they're just so power crept that maybe they're not even worth it, depending on how early game you are? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I love to talk this stuff. I love to debate this stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you tonight for the shard pool, but if not, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.